bed. Like when you wake up at 6 o'clock,
You have no choice. You have, because what are you gonna do? Like, stay up and be miserable?
I felt terrible. So there was no, I was going back to bed.
I still can't believe we did that show. Well, and the funny thing is, that was when Nolan was running content, and he's like, "Hey, like, you guys want to go on and do a Christmas stream, talk some bets and everything?" And we're like, "Yeah, let's talk some bets."
Dude, is that in the archives?
Oh,
Could
Jordan,
we watch that back?
do you have it? You
We
have
should
the
do
link?
we should do a little watch party.
Oh my God, you have. I don't know. Are we live?
We're live.
Hey guys, welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown live before lock. Happy to have you with us. If you don't mind, I'll knock it out early. Atone for your sins this fine evening. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's free to do, for real. It helps us. It helps us a lot and goes a long way. So appreciate you for that in advance. Glad you could join us today. If you've been with us for a while or you're just new, it doesn't matter. What we were talking about is we had a Christmas stream where Jordan got annihilated. I still can't believe we did that live and it's still up. Matt was chugging Four Locos. You didn't shotgun it, did you?
I did.
You did.
It was what we let off the stream with. I think I showed up a little late.
Yeah. Yeah. And Matt was saying he woke up at 6 p.m. Mind you, this was like 11 a.m. Eastern time. So Jordan's 8 o'clock on the West Coast. Matt's 10 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that was, we could not do that. Oh, there it is. There it is. Alex was on there.
Alex was on there.
Kyle was on there.
Kyle, I don't know. Kyle was on there.
Apparently.
Josh Engelman was on there for sure. He was grilling me a lot.
Adam was on there.
Adam was on there. He was laughing at me.
I mean, ultimately, it was just madness. So was that?
Oh my goodness, Jordan has the actual link. I'm a little behind on the live stream.
Yeah, yeah. Was that 2021? So 2021. So 4 years ago.
Wow, Kyle is on there.
Yeah. Anyway, Matt, we're gonna have to do a watch. We should do instead of just we should just do a Christmas watch party. But I think we need to fast forward it to like 30 minutes once it devolves into madness.
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take. I remember.
How long is the whole video?
Jordan will have to answer that.
Watch it was only like 40 minutes. To me, it felt like hours.
Jordan was taking yanks out of the bottle.
He crushed a bottle of vodka at 8 a.m.
It's an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour and 20.
Oh my God.
Okay, we'll have the watch.
We did some
We'll have
damage.
a watch party on playback. You guys could come hang out. Most of you don't care. That's okay. Just kind of reminiscing on old times. Anyway, how you doing, brother? Good to see you again today.
I'm doing better than that day. I fell asleep at like 11 a.m. Woke up pitch black. None of my lights are on. It's dead of winter in Wisconsin. I had no idea what time it is. It turns out it was 6 p.m. I'm better than that day.
You slept the whole day.
It was Christmas Day. I wasted the whole thing.
The whole thing. Oh, man. Willie Jenkins, $20 super chat. Thanks, man. He said, boys, we binked one. One, was that 15K? 15K yesterday. Wait, that's probably 1.5, right? Is it 1.15K? Oh, in the 50 cent. What,
Yeah,
NFL, you
15K.
took down the 50 cent?
The Minimax. It's the hardest thing to win in the,
Oh
in the
my
entire
God.
lobby.
Dude, that's insane. It is 15K because that's what the payout was to first. Using the Stokastic tools and the content, withdrew 26K in the last month. Unreal, dude. Congratulations. That Minimax, Matt, is like 1 million entries.
I know it's harder to win than the Millie Maker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Congrats, man. All right, you ready to talk a little football here?
Yeah, enough Christmas talk. We'll save that for later.
Should we do another Christmas? I don't think I can do that anymore. I don't think I could survive. I'm serious.
I could survive. I would not be in good shape though.
By survive, I mean like the two kids. That throws a wrench into the works. Like I can't just go to sleep. You know?
Yes.
Imagine if Like my wife thinks I'm working.
You'd need to
Yeah.
clear that with her ahead of time, dude. Otherwise, you'd be in deep
Oh,
trouble.
yeah, babe, I got a show, right? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have much more leeway than most people do. But if I just came stumbling upstairs at like 10:30 in the morning, 2 days before Christmas, like I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
imagine that would be good.
I don't think she'd be stoked about it. Anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's get into it. Thanks, Guitar Z, man. Appreciate you hanging out as always. All right, so you and I did the show this morning. Let me start it off with this, as I always do with you on Monday nights, since you and I do back-to-backs. Any worthwhile inactives that we need to talk about, or is this pretty par for the course on what we expected?
Jalen Brooks is inactive for Dallas. So is Deuce Vaughn. I was not expecting Jalen Brooks to be inactive, so that's not big, but it's at least noteworthy. The one we were waiting on was Charlie Jones. He's not playing. This will be his 5th game, missed with a groin injury. That's about it. It's kind of just narrowing Dallas now, I think, which honestly helps some guys that we'll get into. But yeah, I'm not sure where all the snaps go. At least worth mentioning the Brooks thing, though.
Yeah, I think at least with Dallas, it was already ugly. And this guy played what, 30%? He's been playing 30% of snaps the last 2 weeks. Brandon Cooks return. There's too many Jalen's and Brooks and Cooks on this team. Like, for real, they have 3 receivers that are Jalen. They have the Brooks. They have a Cooks. They have a Dalvin Cook. It's all over the place. But yeah, just looking at this one, I think that the absence of Brooks isn't a huge deal, but at the same time, it's at least worth noting. If you had to guess, and I'm throwing you into the fire here because this is not an easy question to answer. Like, if you had to guess, does that just mean the 30% of snaps that Brooks was getting are all just going to Brandon Cooks now? Does that mean that maybe they decide to use really their most explosive guy, Kevontae Turpin, more and get him up to like 30% of snaps? Does it mean Jonathan Mingo, who they traded a 3rd-round pick for, that he gets more work? Because while, 20, 25 snaps for Brooks doesn't seem like a lot, on a showdown slate, it's definitely worth noting.
Yeah, I think it's going to mainly be Cooks going into his full-time role because you have Turpin. He's going to be on the field for the packages. His role has been consistent no matter who's in, who's out for this team. It's basically 30% snaps. There's some ebb and flow each week with that, but that's his role. He comes on the field for his packages and then he's off. The only thing I'm really thinking here is like, okay, what does this do to Mingo? We talked about this morning, and we both were kind of on we don't think Cooks plays more than 70% of snaps. I think we said 60. I think 70 is kind of the ceiling. So
Great.
Is this like a slight bump for Mingo? Do we see Mingo at like 45, maybe 50%? That could be something as well, because I don't know why they're doing this, but it appears they're trying to get a longer look at him.
Yeah. I would think so too. By the way, Jordan, why are we in subscribers only mode? Did some shit happen that I missed? Yeah. Which works for me. Do we always do that? Oh, all right. Fine with me. Actually, it's a good idea because of those bots. Good call. Then we haven't always done it because those bots pop up all the time. Round of applause for producer Jordan. Appreciate you, brother. Oh, by the way, last thing. Willie Jenkins, Matt, said he took down that Minimax with the tools with the free month that he got for using the Stokastic avatar.
There are just some things that are no-brainers. If you haven't tried the tools, you want to try them out. I mean, there's really no easier way. You don't even have to do anything differently. All you do is put the avatar up there.
I always say, like, the cute picture of your dog is nice, but it's not helping you make more money, right? It's true.
There's like some things that are just low-hanging fruit. It takes you 30 seconds to do. Once you do it, you're opening doors that aren't there otherwise.
Yeah, man. Stokastic.com/HOF. Download one of those avatars. Use it wherever it is you play. Finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Tweet us, baby. Doesn't matter if it's the Minimax or $1 entry. Tweet us. Stokastic HOF. Say what's up. Say hello. Tweet us the screenshot. Get the free month. Win a second time. Get a free month and another free week. Win 3 times in a calendar year. Get a $550 debt value. everything on the site for the entire month, every sport. And of course, with that $20,000 win, no matter what contest, get the beautiful custom engraved Stokastic ring. Look at those beauties. Yeah. Who doesn't want that? Put it on your desk. Tell someone to fuck off when they ask you a question because they didn't win a ring. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it. All right. Dude, when we do these nighttime shows, it's just, no holds barred. All right. Where are you at on Rico Dowdle now? Because I was a little bit higher on him than you were earlier in the day. Are you standing pat on that? Kind of like still have some reservations about what this workload could look like?
I don't have a lot of reservations with it. I think there's just like a hole you could potentially poke with Mike McCarthy at the helm. I don't think it's likely, but it's at least worth mentioning. We've seen some ownership come up on some other players throughout the day. Rico has actually remained kind of consistent. So with ownership kind of changing a little bit, I have a little more interest in him than I did earlier. Like Cooper Rush is up near 50% ownership. That was not the case this morning. T has jumped a lot in ownership. He's nearly 50% now. That was not something we had this morning. So he's changed a little bit in terms of like a leverage play for me. And with the lower ownership on him, I think he does become interesting. You mentioned his workload earlier. It's been absolutely nuts since they phased out Ezekiel Elliott. I think there's like a very small chance Ezekiel Elliott could handle more work than we think, but again, it's small.
Yeah. Like, all right. Hunter Lipke and Ezekiel Elliott. What are the odds Zeke sees more carries than Hunter Lipke today?
Pretty good, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if like Zeke had 3 and Lipke had 2 or something like that.
That wouldn't surprise me. I just have been down this Mike McCarthy road so many times to know to expect.
You're scarred from this?
You just have to know to expect something stupid from him. And he's still doing stupid stuff. I mean, we don't need to get into this right this second, but why isn't Turpin playing more? Like, why are the best players not on the field for this team? That's a great point. Consistently, why are the best players not on the field?
It's a great point. I still think that the stubbornness you see is that it could actually be argued that it's a positive for Rico Dowdle because it took so long for Dowdle to actually, commandeer that role, right? That now that he has it, it might be so hard for him to relinquish it, right? Like, I don't know if that's true, but you could make that argument, if you know what I mean. Like, you could make the argument that Mike McCarthy is so hard-headed that, well, he's made this decision. Why would he go back? And it's working.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it at this point. He's sort of, I mean, I don't know why it took so long to see the light, but eventually he did. And what I like more about this now compared to this morning is that it comes with a little bit lower ownership. So you do have some room for error, I suppose, because not as many people are going to be playing this. The price is fine on him. He's 9K. There actually is something to be gained by playing like Rico Dowdle at captain instead of, let's just use like a Jamar Chase going all the way up. The like 2 to 3K you save, depending on the expensive captain you would have chosen, it goes somewhere today. We built some lineups earlier. We built one with Rico Dowdle. I was surprised how well it looked at the end of this. So I'm actually a little more interested in Dowdle than I was. I probably will give him a slight boost. Debating that, but I think he's interesting.
Do you think Turpin is in play today? Because it's so wild to me that I don't know if you saw his route participation last week, but I almost laughed at it when I saw it because the guy runs 10 routes and has 5 targets and 4 receptions for 53. Like he had a 50% targets per route run last week.
He's going to be high in those categories because he comes on the field for very specific situations. 50% is mind-blowing. I would never expect that for a player.
Of course not. My point is, are they using him? Are they like just straight handful of design plays each night or each game to try and break Turpin loose on 1 or 2?
That's what it seems like to me. And we've seen a lot of teams do this. Like Tyreek Hill was like this early in his career. Kadarius Toney, for all his flaws, has been used like this. Those are just 2 examples that are top of mind. But I don't know if we're going to see this ever really increase. He's been efficient the entire season. I don't know if this is a playbook thing. He doesn't fully grasp this. He is diminutive. So maybe it's just a limitation where they only feel comfortable with him on the field for a number of packages. And by contrast, like Brandon Cooks is a field stretcher. Tolbert and Mingo are both bigger receivers. CeeDee Lamb is not coming off the field ever. When they use 12 personnel, a lot of times that's at the expense of guys like Turpin. I don't know what the answer is, but no matter what player personnel they've had active for certain games, he's been in this like 30% share of snaps, 10 routes, 12 routes. So why would it change tonight? With that said, this is such a bad slate for value that I kind of like just taking that guaranteed 30% snap share that comes with the 3 touches or 5 touches, whatever it's going to be tonight. It's at least bankable. Whereas like, I don't know, Mingo, if he went targetless, would you be surprised?
No, not at all. And another perfect one though that's in the same price tier, because right, Turpin's 3K, Mingo's 2,200, and then Tolbert is 2,800. But you look at Tolbert, you're like, okay, wow, the guy's on the field all the time. He was targeted on 10% of routes. Like he's on the field, but Cooper Rush just does not look. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case tonight, but that has been the case. Tolbert has just not been getting targeted. And now you've got Brandon Cooks back in the mix. Like you look at the games, that Jalen Tolbert has played since Cooper Rush took over, right? So it was Philly, it was Houston, it was Washington, and it was the Giants. This guy has ran a team high 144 routes, Matt. He's been targeted on 11% of them, 16 targets on 144 routes. So sometimes that type of volume, when you're looking at snaps and routes, can be misleading. The guy's wind sprinting.
He is wind sprinting. He's very good at it.
Yeah,
But
he's great at it.
It's just who else do you turn to?
I know. Like the fact that he's on the field on a showdown slate makes me feel like I have to prioritize him over those guys. I'm just saying, how much better actually is he than those guys when I don't know, man. I'm having a tough time with the Turpin versus Tolbert. Like Turpin has 9 targets on 40 routes over his last 4. That's 7 less than Tolbert, and he's ran 104 fewer routes. That can't be sustainable.
Probably not. Let's break down the routes. CD is going to play, what would you say, 90%?
Yeah, assuming that shoulder's fine and he wasn't on the injury report, let's say 90%, yeah.
Okay, so where do you think Cooks is? I said 60 this morning. I think we could be aggressive and say 65 maybe.
Snaps or routes?
I'm just kind of using them together. Like Cooks is not going to be blocking.
No, yeah, sure. All right. Let's say because Brooks is inactive, let's go 65 Cooks.
Okay, so then if we do 30% Turpin, which is like roughly where he's been, that's 2 receivers basically when you combine it all to 100%. So then I think the question remains, it's like, okay, what's this split between Tolbert and Mingo? Because you have CD at nearly 100. You get to nearly 100% between Cooks and Turpin. Are they trying to see more Mingo at the expense of Tolbert? I think this is probably going to be like 65% for Tolbert, maybe like 40% for Mingo.
All right, so you could see a drop for Tolbert is what you're saying.
With Cooks, if Cooks plays 65% of the snaps, 65% of the routes, I think he has to come down a little bit because.
But what if Cooks just takes everything from Brooks?
He could do that. So then you would just be projecting Mingo at like 30% then.
Right.
Like no additional looks for Mingo, which that should be what they do. I'm not convinced they do it, but.
And if you guys are wondering why we're spending so much time on the Cowboys tonight, it's because with the Bengals, you understand the hierarchy, right? It's Jamar and it's T. Higgins and then Yoshivas, but that's not, that's not really much. Even though he's going to be on the field, he hasn't really seen much volume. I know he scored the other week, so there's that, but still, aside from that, like who else is playing, Matt? Jermaine Burton played 2 snaps last week. They're running 3 receivers, and then they like to put 400 tight ends on the field.
You're absolutely right. If you run the Sims, you'll see a lot of lineups that have some Dallas cheap receivers. It's because there's not a lot of options in Cincinnati to get down there. So think of it this way. Like I personally will tell you right now, I don't love Turpin. I don't love any of these cheap receivers as individuals, but they're the glue that gets you to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Burrow, Dowdle, Rush, CeeDee. You need to figure out a way to play a lot of those guys. Otherwise, like you can play three of them and then go three mid-price guys, like two kickers and Ferguson, just fine. But if you want to find that fourth, you need to think about these Dallas receivers. It's unless you're playing Drew Sample or Tanner Hudson, this is one of the best ways to get there. And between like the Tanner Hudson and Drew Sample discussion versus these Dallas guys, like you just, even if you think Tolbert takes a slight step back in snaps, he's still playing more than those guys.
True. Tanner Hudson's basically the tight end version of Kevontae Turpin. He's, you know, he's not going to block.
It's a great comparison.
He'll play 10 snaps. He might have 4 targets. But dude, if you look at the receiving props for Bengals tight ends today, Drew Sample's at like 7.5, Hudson's at 8 or 9.5. Even Gesicki's only at 24.5 today.
That doesn't surprise me with T-back. His role has changed drastically, but like if you wanted to go all the way down and play Hudson, I don't hate that. You're going to get 10% of the snaps, but he's running a route on every one. Sometimes the salary you save is worth it. Like, let's say you have a run out where Tolbert catches 3 balls for 25 yards, but Tanner Hudson catches 2 for 12. You might want to save the money and go all the way down to Hudson to get the extra stud. Their output is similar in that situation. Like, I got some Lepke in the sim tools.
Yeah.
If Lepke has like 3 carries for 15 yards, depending on how the rest of the slate plays out, like if all the studs just smash and you find something useful with that extra 1,500 or whatever it is, it might just be you want to play Lepke and save as much as you possibly can. So I don't even hate him for lineups the way the slate is.
He feels like the only viable guy in that sub 1K range, right?
I ran 150 on DraftKings, still debating what I want to do with this, but I got 2% Brevin Spanford, the third wide receiver for Dallas.
Tight end.
Or excuse me, tight end. Thank you. I got a lineup with Trevion Williams, who might not get a snap.
Oh, Trevion Williams. Okay. Any Khalil Herbert? That's what I want to know.
I don't think any Herbert, but he's no Herbert. But again, the point I was trying to make is like this, you see this more in like basketball, where sometimes if you have like a min-price guy, he might not even need to score, but if that gives you the avenues to the studs, that could be a construction you want. Football, that doesn't happen as much, but almost never. But I don't know that I've ever seen our Sims give it to me, and I'm getting it today.
A lot of times with those minimum salary guys too in basketball, like when you get those minimum salary centers, you just stumble into rebounds and put back opportunities and stuff, right? And like a couple stocks, and it's like, oh, the 3K center got me 20, and Jokic has 80, and Doncic has 75. But in this case, it's very different because 1, Matt, they have to be on the field, and 2, they actually have to touch the ball. And when you start talking about some of these running back, look, you know what? Maybe Chase Brown gets hurt and Trevion Williams comes in and gets some more. That's the thing we never talk about here, is like accounting for injuries. But the reason we don't do it is because you can't.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard. And it's not like NBA. Like, a lot needs to happen for you to get some of these blowout outcomes. They almost never happen in the NFL. Some people will talk about blowouts. There's 2 problems. 1, they're unlikely. 2, your starters have to play so well for it to happen that you're still not really likely to get there. So I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Like, I wasn't expecting to see a Hunter Lepke lineup, but with this way the slate is structured, it's not the worst idea.
No, it's certainly not. I have a little bit of him. And of course, you're talking about Hunter Lepke captain, right?
Not captain.
No. But I get it. As far as Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, see, there's all these guys with the same, there's some type of name that's similar. It throws me off. T. Higgins. Because first of all, let me work backwards here. Jake Ferguson looks good. if you want to talk about the dead zone that Matt and I always refer to, it's that 6K, a lot of times 7K range, but generally 6K range where it's a bunch of backup quarterbacks, right? And in this case, you've got 5 backup quarterbacks. So if you were to take below Chase Brown, below Cooper Rush, 8,800, all 7 of those guys, and then 6 of those guys, and then Cooper Rush, that's 7 guys at 8,800 and above. Then you have Brandon Cooks at 7K, which feels pretty unplayable at that price point. You have nobody else from Cooper Rush down to Mike Gesicki and Jake Ferguson. Total dead zone. We talk about this dead zone a lot. This is full out dead.
Worse than most slates. I mean,
yeah.
You're going to end up with some funky lineups because of it, or just more stars. I mean, this is part of the reason we're spending a lot of time on Dallas. You're like naturally funneled this direction a little bit.
I absolutely think you're funneled in this direction. Yeah. You're going to have to go to some of these cheap guys because they're going to be on the field. I mean, the other question then becomes like, do you consider the Tanner Hudsons or the Drew Samples? Because they're actually cheaper. They're cheaper than Tolbert, Turpin, and who else was it? And Mingo.
I have no problem with them. My favorite is still Tolbert. I think my second favorite is Turpin. Third, I think is Hudson.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. He's not exciting because he's not going to be on the field a lot, but you're the one that mentioned it this morning on the strategy show. Like if he's out there, he's going to be running routes. And they have looked to have tried to get him the ball quite a bit in those situations, right? Like I mentioned it to you this morning. He's had what does he have? 2 fewer targets than Mike Gesicki over the last 3 games. And he's a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, the only argument I think you could really make is Jermaine Burton. He had 2 snaps in the last game, but the 2 prior games, I mean, albeit T. Higgins was out for one of those, so let's use the second most recent game. He did have 18 snaps. We've seen him kind of ebb and flow between single digits and then actually getting something decent. Like he's 800. So if you wanted to gamble on him a little bit and throw some darts, I wouldn't be totally against using a couple Jermaine Burton. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty dusty down here. We mentioned the guys that are very clear.
All right, how about this? Is Chase Brown your favorite captain play today?
He's up there. He's kind of owned. I almost want to say it's T, but
same. But I
think it might be Chase Brown.
It's currently Chase Brown for me. I do like Dowdle though.
I like him as a contrarian option.
Yeah.
Honestly, I like CD. I've been debating this CD stuff. CD at 9% in the captain, but Dowdle's at basically 9% too. Those guys are both really low owned captain plays.
Super low owned. And I think, just looking at CD, looking at Chase Brown, just because if he continues to be on the field 80+% of the time, you're just going to be hard pressed to get away from that. But what about Jamar? I love Jamar Chase. The guy's fantastic. But T. Higgins' workload and red zone usage has been essentially on par with Chase. Maybe the production overall hasn't, but it's been damn good. He's $2,000 cheaper.
Yeah, if you just actually you can use that. We talked about it. Like, if that gets you to, I don't know, a Ferguson over like a Tolbert or something, or a kicker, something like that, it just is so much different in terms of projection. So I like the look of my T. Higgins lineups a little more. I didn't like that in our most recent ownership run. He did jump Chase in ownership, so he's now the second most owned captain behind Chase Brown. So for contrarian builds, larger field stuff, I find myself more inclined to play CD and Dowdle. But I mean, you're playing low risk, you're playing smaller field stuff, single entries. It's really hard not to play either. Really just a Bengal, but I think T and Chase are the 2 best ones.
Yeah, I would say the same. T and Chase, and then, okay, here you go. Who would you go as your third favorite Bengal player? Obviously not. Sorry, if you're talking about Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, who's next in line behind them?
Burrow.
No, sorry, skill player.
Oh, can't be QB.
No, I'm talking like a Yoshivas,
Oh, Bengals exclusively. Who's next in line?
like a Travion Williams. Yeah, any of these guys, Sample, Hudson. Because
Probably
I don't think
Gesicki.
that. See, I guess, but I
mean,
hate.
there's a chasm between those top three and the next guy.
Exactly, which makes me think I should just go all the way down to a Tanner Hudson or something.
Agreed.
Yeah, like that additional what 2,500 or something will probably go a very long way on
It
this
will.
slate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, we got about 10 minutes to go. By the way, glad you guys could join us. Thanks for hanging out. And never forget, you saw Willie in there earlier talking about got the tools, took down what 26K or withdrew 26K in the last week. Guys, bookmark this or just keep this stream open when the game starts. If you want to get a free month, I'll make this quick since we still got stuff to talk about and we're up against it. That first link in the description. You sign up with any of our sportsbook partners, click claim offer, and just follow those 4 steps. Sign up, deposit, make your first bet, send your screenshot of your first settled bet and your welcome email to us at support@stokastic.com. You're getting a free month of Core. It's $100 value. It includes the sims, the single lineup sim. Every tool we have. You want to make more money, build better lineups. You're doing it for free. And when I say for free, it's true because you're either getting a match bonus on every one of these pick'em sites if you're in a non-legal state, or you're getting bonus bets when you sign up and deposit $5 or $10, like 150 in bonus bets on a Bet365 or FanDuel. So if you sign up for 4 of them, you get 4 free months of all of our tools. Sign up for 2, you get 2. Sign up for 1, you get 1. Just straight no-brainer action right there, as Matt would tell you. If you want to jump in, no better time now. Coming up on Christmas season, we got doubleheader Monday Night Football next week, Saturday football coming up, Tuesday football, or Christmas Day football. Jump in, man. The water's warm. Link is the first one there and in chat. All right. So, and like I said, as many as you want to do, you got it. Just follow those 4 simple steps. Talk to me about Burrow and Cooper Rush here. Usually we don't dig too much in the quarterbacks because they're always priced at a spot where you can get to them. And Cooper, look, Burrow's just been spectacular. How easy is it to go Burrow, Chase, Higgins, and then another stud? It is tough. That's probably why you're getting some Hunter Lipke.
Yeah, you can do it. It's going to be very, very greasy. The 4 stud lineups are tough. I think there will be some duplication with those. And that's why we have a lot of 3 stud lineups with some kickers and defenses. And Ferguson's come up in ownership as well. I think that's warranted. But I mean, it's hard not to like Burrow when you like all of these studs around him. I do think he's a better play in the flex because so much of this is consolidated to T. Higgins and Chase. And I mean, when you have a guy in Chase Brown who's on the field like 90% of the snaps in certain game environments, you have so much rushing touchdown equity with him that comes right at the expense of Burrow. He's a little bit below the studs on the Bengals, the skill position guys, but he's an awesome play. I love using him in the flex. Cooper Rush, I think, is fine. I have some interest in him as a contrarian captain even because the Bengals defense is atrocious, and we've actually seen some I'll hesitate to call it good. We've seen some decent play out of Rush, and we've seen him put up 300-plus yard games. Really, his only super bad game was against Philly, which is excusable a little bit. So he's even interesting, too. I think I'd rather play Rush just for full contrarian lineups and captain in large field than Burrow.
All right, that makes sense to me. Hey, we had a super chat from Goody, and Chris Williams, as always, thanks for gifting those memberships. Goody said, not getting any Cooks, Tolbert, or Turpin, WTF. Are we boosting and which one? DK20 max? Yeah, I mean, look, Matt, I'm not personally, if I lose because Brandon Cooks burns me, I can live with that. I can't find the necessity to get to a 7K Cooks when you go up like $2,000 and there's all of the good players, and then you go down less than 2,000, you go down like $1,500 and you've got like Jake Ferguson or something like that. So I'm not boosting Cooks. If you wanted to get some more Turpin and Tolbert, I don't think it's crazy to give them a slight boost. No, just to try and, spin the wheel on one of those guys. But Cooks would be the one guy that I wouldn't try to get in at all, to be honest, Matt.
Agreed. I'm not doing anything with Cooks. Honestly, considered Xing him out. With with Tolbert, I got 30% of him in flex just on my own. It's built for large field with 25% to first. I'm not sure what your settings are, what you're playing, but I imagine if you're playing something similar, you might already be decently exposed to Tolbert. Maybe just check that. Otherwise, if you have a feeling on one of those guys, I could see boosting them. And the only other thing I would mention is if you think it should be closer, like right now I'm at about 30% Tolbert, 7% Turpin. I'm fine with that. But if you wanted to smooth it, make it even or close to even for risk management, that wouldn't be a terrible idea.
Yeah, I'm about with the field on Tolbert right now.
And I mean, 30% is fine with me. I think he's the best play in this range, but is he significantly ahead of price adjusted Hudson and Turpin and these other cheap players? I don't think he's significantly ahead. So I don't really want a lot more than 30%, to be honest with you.
The one I worry about not having, honestly, is truthfully,
Mingo?
what's that?
I just said Mingo.
Yeah, oh, that would suck. But I would just eat it. No, Turpin. Because Turpin is the type of guy that can just blow things open. We had a question earlier. Would you play him with Dallas defense? Look, it's not the craziest. The guy really might be the best, most dynamic return man in the league. So it's
I
not
don't even think you need the double dip. They could both get there individually.
true. Yeah. I am getting a lot. By the way, in the Sims, Cooks has the worst simulated player ROI. And it doesn't surprise me. The second lowest simmed ROI is Yoshivas. So look, I'll trust the tools here. And again, you get burned by that. Okay. But Matt, the bottom 5 in simmed ROI, simulated individual player ROI, Cooks, Yoshivas, which makes sense at his price point, Gesicki, which makes sense because he's still priced a little higher than he should be with a healthy Higgins, Jermaine Burton, who barely played last week, and Brevin Spanford. So I don't really, I love making arguments against this stuff and trying to inject a little bit of my own thinking into this. You and I break these slates. You and I have spent 2+ hours today talking about one single game, but I haven't found anything to make that point.
I think the only projection changes you could consider are bringing Tolbert down a little bit if you think Mingo plays more. And that would just be the angle that, all right, they traded an egregious pick for Mingo that he's not worth. And now they got to get a look at him because they already wasted it. I mean, sunk costs would tell you not to do this. Mingo's been horrible. But Mike McCarthy is a moron. He's done a bunch of stuff that's moronic. He's still doing it. I mean, I would not be surprised if Mingo plays 40% of the snaps. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Neither do I. They did give up a third for him. You want to guess our highest simmed ROI player?
Chase Brown.
Hunter Lipke, 2%.
Okay, so I don't feel so bad about how many Hunter Lipke lineups do I have? 2.
And by the way, that doesn't mean go out and jam him. It just means that at that price, he simmed out well. Cade York as well, Matt. Cade York just he's kind of a necessity for me. I'm getting a good amount of him today.
Yeah, I like Aubrey too. I mean, just when you have a weak value slate like this, kickers are naturally going to come up more. And I think you get more kicker compared to defense because the total's really high. You have a really high-powered offense in Burrow, who he's great under pressure. You mentioned this. He should be able to mitigate that pass rush. And then on the other side, it's Cooper Rush, but he's facing a similar defense like to his own talent. The Bengals defense is awful.
How much Elliott do you have?
Great question. I hope 8%. I was going to say I hope 0, but I keep forgetting he's 1.2K.
Yeah, I have 9%. That's fine. He's washed though. I mean, he's truly dust.
He is. He shouldn't be on a team, probably.
But once in a while.
Watch him draft Ashton Genty now. The cycle continues.
How convinced are you that they grab him?
Now, I saw someone mock it and it made me laugh. And now it's in my head because they would make the same mistake.
Ben DM'd me the other night. It's like 11 at night. And he's like, dude, this guy's amazing. And talking about Genty. And he's like, the Cowboys are going to take him. That's what he said.
I mean, when you're playing blind schools for your whole season, it makes if Genty was in the SEC, I'm sure he'd be great. He would not be doing what he's doing now.
So where do you think he should be drafted?
Okay, well, I would need to look at like the rookie wage scale again. I'm not privy to it off the top of my head. Like Ezekiel Elliott immediately became like a top 5 paid back when he was drafted. Same thing with Leonard Fournette. You just have to like at that point when you're drafted so high, you need to beat like he needs to be better than like Bijan and some stuff. So I don't know, maybe like 20.
Okay. So you would say first round.
He's good enough to be a first rounder, but I don't think you could ever really draft it back in the top 5 these days because then he needs to be like McCaffrey right away.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But if you draft him at like 20, he needs to be what? Aaron Jones?
Yeah,
Which
and Aaron
maybe-
Jones was drafted in like the 5th
Well, running back is unique and you get those diamonds in the rough, of course.
all the time, though. All the
It's
time.
true. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're making a good argument not to do it.
Guy's 5'9". That's wild.
A lot of the teams that have drafted running backs high, I'll just say this, they don't exactly have the best track record.
No.
It's a lot of times when those backs go to their second teams that they look great. Saquon is a great example of that.
I love looking at teams and see like what teams. By the way, for those of you guys hopping off, appreciate you. Have a great rest of the night. Good luck tonight. Let's one of us take it down with that Stokastic avatar and come back here tomorrow and talk some shit. But look at like what's the last Super Bowl team to win with a high paid running back?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And that's only because they luck box Pacheco.
Oh God, was he? He was like the last pick in the first round, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that's a cop out. It's like a cheat.
But I'm
code
saying
answer.
like the lead back. That's what I mean. What I mean is a lot of times it just doesn't matter in the end.
Was Todd Gurley on that Rams team that went to the Super Bowl?
Was he?
I don't know. He might have been washed by then. I can't remember.
I thought he got hurt that year and they brought in the former Carolina player.
They could have done that too. My memory
What was his
is
name? What was the Carolina back they brought in?
I don't remember.
Oh, you have to. Yeah, you do.
If you said it, I would know.
Well, that doesn't help me. Oh, it was Cam Akers that year.
It was Cam Akers' year.
Cam Akers and Sonny Michel.
Oh my gosh. See, these are the running backs that were drafted highly.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. I'm talking about like getting paid.
You mean like right out of the gate or just like a free agent stud?
Just like marquee running backs. Like we couldn't even remember who the running backs were for that team. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like the last one was probably Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Super Bowl winners. So anytime the Chiefs have won, they haven't really had one.
Damian Williams, Isaiah Pacheco.
I wasn't even talking about the right Rams season. I was talking about the one they lost in 2019. I forgot they won one in 2 years or 3 years ago. My goodness.
Yeah. Horrible. It was against this Bengals team.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
Pretty bad game, yeah.
Who was the running back on Philly in 2018?
Oh, dude. I think they had like Jay Ajayi.
Oh my gosh, Jay Ajayi.
Yeah. Jay Ajayi. It wasn't, I don't think Sproles got hurt that year.
So no expensive back.
Oh, ready, dude? Corey Clement. You want to know who else? You're going to love this. You're going to love this. Fucking LeGarrette Blount.
Dude, I'm just looking at the Patriots Super Bowl.
LeGarrette Blount won one with them too.
LeGarrette Blount was the lead rusher for their team that year.
Yep. He had like 20 touchdowns that year.
Was LeGarrette Blount just a Super Bowl? Yeah, you're right. It might be Marshawn.
I think it is. I really do. Like, all right, what other years do we have? Patriots every year doesn't count. They never have a marquee running back ever.
Ray Rice.
Yeah, but that postdates Marshawn Lynch.
Oh yeah, more recent than Marshawn.
There isn't one.
Who was Denver's back? C.J. Anderson.
Oh, C.J. Anderson's the one that took over for Todd Gurley too. He went to
But
Carolina.
he was not expensive. He was like a UDFA.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. This Rams
It
leading
wasn't like
rusher in
no
the
Sean Moreno, was it?
I don't think so. Man, you're right. These running backs have been really bad in the Super Bowl.
I know. I know. Crazy.
Tampa Bay, Leonard Fournette.
Right, but he was a retread. So
Right,
he doesn't
they
even
were
count.
they were barely paying him.
He was on a 1-year, like, show me, prove it contract. CJ Anderson and Monty Ball for Broncos.
So that's another luck box. They drafted Monty Ball super high. Unfortunately for them, he was an alcoholic. And then they luck box into CJ Anderson.
Crazy. Okay, were there any other teams that were missing? There had to have been. Although
I mean,
it's like
the Kansas City won 3 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
The Kansas City back in their first Super Bowl, Damian Williams, of course.
Daniels in chat said Terrell Davis and Falk, but that's way back. That's what I'm saying. Like Richie
Who
asked
was the Packers back? Was this Eddie Lacy?
No,
James Starks.
Yeah, but there you go, James Starks.
Man, Eddie Lacy might be my favorite player all time.
Man, I really thought that year he came back and they basically gave him incentives to put the fork down. You remember that?
Yeah. He couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. I was so stoked on him. Because Eddie Lacy, I thought could have actually been good, but the guy couldn't stop eating. And they really gave him incentives like, dude, stay under this weight and we're going to pay you more money. And he said, nah, I'm straight. I'm good.
2012 Super Bowl running backs, Ahmad Bradshaw versus Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
Oh, Ben Jarvis. Wait, that was Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, right?
Let me see. All I know is Ahmad led the team that day.
Look it up. That was, I think, when they had the 3-headed monster in the backfield they called Earth, Wind, and Fire. And
Brandon
I believe
Jacobs, yeah.
And was there a third one?
Not in this game.
Okay. They did have a third guy that they used that year.
But the Patriots also had a committee of Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and Danny Woodhead.
Woodhead was serviceable.
Yeah, he was good. He was fun. That was that Aaron Hernandez led the team in receiving. Goodness gracious.
Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis.
Listen to this roster. The Patriots in 2012. Tom Brady, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, Danny Woodhead, Aaron Hernandez, Gronk, Wes Welker, Deion Branch, Chad Johnson.
Ocho Cinco was on that?
Somehow. Gerard Mayo.
That's a nasty team.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Gronk had a tackle.
What's that?
Gronk had a tackle in the Super Bowl.
Was it on a
Gostkowski had a tackle in the Super Bowl.
Well, Gostkowski on a kick return. Was Gronk's tackle on an interception or a fumble? Or
Brady did throw a pick, but I'm not sure.
Or what was the final score of that game?
21-17. Giants won.
Huh.
Hakeem Nicks would go. Okay, we need to stop. I'm gonna stay up all night doing this.
So wait, if it was Hakeem Nicks, then that was the second time they beat the Patriots.
Yes. It was Hakeem Nicks, Mario Manningham, Victor Cruz.
Victor Cruz. He was the one that did the salsa dance.
Yeah, he was awesome.
I actually was at the game in Philly where he tore his ACL and was never the same
Oh,
again.
that sucks.
Mario Manningham. So then David Tyree was the previous year.
Yes.
With Plaxico.
Holy, Linval Joseph was on this team.
Wait a second, dude. Linval Joseph was on the Eagles like 2 years ago.
I know.
Linval Joseph was around that long?
Yeah, man, dude. Like Matthew Slater was on this Patriots team.
Yeah, remember Plaxico had the negligent discharge in the club with a gun in his waistband?
Yeah, he was so drunk he didn't know that he shot himself.
He went to jail, didn't he? I think he got locked up.
I don't know about that.
Did he actually shoot himself, or did the gun just?
He did shoot himself.
He did shoot himself. I think I think that was around the same time that Vic was hanging dogs in his backyard too.
He said sorry though.
I forgave him. He played great for us, man. He was so good. I'm a big dog guy, a big dog person, but I like winning football games, Matt.
We're in the depths now. I'm looking at the Bears Super Bowl they lost.
Oh man, Devin Hester year.
Hey, return the opening kickoff. I was so pumped.
Remember we were on the show with AB and I asked you who your favorite Bear in the Super Bowl was, and you said Hester.
Yeah. How many tackles did AB have? Let's see. 2 solos.
How many do you can't see a snap count there, can you?
No.
That would be great. Like, was AB a full-time player during that?
I think so.
What year was that?
2005?
Browns Colts, right?
Bears Colts, yeah.
That's what I meant.
2007,
Bears,
sorry. 2007.
all right.
I mean, I can't believe I ever thought the Bears are winning this game. Joseph Adai, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark. What the hell was I thinking?
That was such a stacked Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark with Joseph Adai. Yeah,
and Marvin Harrison.
Marvin and Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Against Rex Grossman, Thomas.
Wait, who
Desmond
was the top?
Clark was the leading receiver.
Who was it?
Desmond Clark.
Who was their top receiver that year?
I think Muhsin Muhammad.
They got there on the back of their defense, though.
Oh, yeah. That was Lance Briggs, Tillman, Urlacher, Nathan Vasher.
That was a nasty Alex Brown. That was a nasty.
Brown.
There you go again. That was a nasty defense. Who was their running back? That wasn't Forte, right? That was before Forte.
Thomas
right?
Jones.
Forte was shortly after that. He could have been like a year or two after that.
For sure. They had Cedric Benson, but he only had 2 carries.
All right. Do you remember, here's a blast from the past, because this guy for a while was like, remember back in the day where in fantasy leagues, you only drafted a quarterback or a running back in the first round, unless it was just a superb talent?
Yeah.
Remember Michael Turner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The bowling ball, man. That guy would just run you over.
Yeah. I want to like rewatch like a 1975 season where I have no idea who wins and just follow a team from start to finish, like watch every single week in the off season or something.
That'd be sick. Just like pick a new favorite team and watch all of their games.
And you have no idea who wins. Or like what was that like old
That's actually a sick idea, because I couldn't tell you who won the Super Bowl in 1978.
You know that, like, I don't know if Chris Berman did this rundown or something. It was like Inside the NFL or something, where one of those old hosts, the entertaining ones back when ESPN was in its glory days, would go through the entire league. It's like 5 minutes or something.
Berman still does it.
I can't remember what this was called, man. My friends would know. I'll need to ask. We've watched it occasionally. I would like to watch one team and then watch that recap afterwards every single week on Sunday in like March through, I don't know.
That'd be
June.
awesome. Dude, but what if you accidentally pick the team that goes like 1-15?
That would suck.
And you just have to watch. Like you picked like today's Raiders.
So this started because my friends during COVID, when they canceled March Madness, they're like, why don't we just pick like 1989? None of us know who wins. I don't know if that's a famous year or not. Some year where no one knows who wins. We all pick a bracket and then we watch the games.
That's a great idea.
It'd be fun in the offseason if you're bored, like I always am. And I love football and I like watching the old stuff. NFL Films in chat, he's got it.
Oh, you were talking about NFL Films. Gotcha.
I think so. Is that the one where it's the recap?
I don't know. NFL Films is the one with the super fucking awesome theme song.
I'm looking it up right now. Something old school. This is, I don't know. We're going to look at like a year. Anyway, this is a dumb idea that I want to watch.
No, I like it. I like it. We just have to think of a team that's decent.
Let's have somebody else look up the standings, and then we'll pick a team and they'll just be like, yeah or no.
That's a great idea. Or they
So-
give us like a selection of 5 teams and we pick one of those.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Because I don't want to end up with like whatever the winless Lions were.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. It would suck. But I don't know which year Miami went for undefeated. That would be fun.
That would be fun. One of the Patriot Tom Brady years would be fun.
Mike Lawrence, what's up, dude? Said an extinct team like the Oilers. Oh, dude, like
Oh, that would be sick.
a
But
Warren
they
Moon
suck.
season.
Didn't they suck?
I don't know, but Warren Moon was sick.
I think he was. He's before my time.
Is he the one that got who's the one
Steve
that got
McNair.
Steve McNair, yeah, Air McNair. They were both Houston though.
Yeah. That was awesome. Eddie George.
Yeah. Also, best uniforms there are.
You like
love
those more than the creamsicle Bucks?
I love the creamsicle Bucks. I think the pirate with the sword in his mouth slightly fruity, but I love the creamsicle Bucks uniforms. I love the Oilers uniforms. Old school Falcons were sick.
Like the All Blacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah, they were awesome. My Kelly Green Eagles is still one of my favorites. I love that.
How about the powder boot Chargers?
Love it. I don't care how chalky that is. I absolutely love it. It's just Tomlinson pops into my head. I love him.
Yeah.
Love him. Him and Phil Rivers. Yeah, man. Those two guys. And I like the old Patriots ones. The old Patriots ones were sick.
They were.
Yeah.
Did we ignore $5?
Oh, we did. Why don't you shout it out?
I didn't see it. I saw the follow-up one.
Oh, Brian Sullivan, hats off for the bonus stream. Love this. Y'all are great. Thanks, man.
Sorry, I missed that, man.
Yeah, appreciate. Sorry. But thank you. Anyway, we should probably go because Jordan is not feeling good today, and
Yeah, he's probably like, "What the hell are these guys doing?" Sorry,
fucked
Jordan.
them over. Yeah, but nah, guys, have a great rest of them. That was fun. We need to. This is what we should do: have a Christmas stream and just like drink, but not drink too heavy, and just reminisce on old football games and rosters. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
We'll
Let
have
the
a good
chat
time.
guide it or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Have Jordan come in on the mix as well. Knockbacks. Jordan will knock some back. Or you
Yeah,
can
of
bring out
course.
the blimp, Jordan. All right. There you go. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the night. We'll see you soon. Yeah, Matt.